This was the first day with the hair, and then putting the suit on, it kind of all comes together.
So this is a big day.
Yeah. Big day.
How you feeling?
A little surreal, but in a good way.
You enjoying it?
Yeah.
Day one. Is that fair? Day one?
No.
Yeah, day minus.
Yeah,
minus four.
Yeah. 4.
Where are we today?
Home. So Kathy was the person who called me when I was in my dorm room at Penn to tell me that I had gotten into Juilliard. I remember that phone call very well.
I remember too. I remember all those calls.
Yeah. And she just made sure that everything, like all the actual things, were running the way they needed to be running.
I'm like their drama mama.
Yeah.
You know I'm here.
Oh.
I'm gonna take care
You
of
took
everybody.
really good care of us.
But did I hear a little baby?
Oh yes, I have a baby.
I have to see this.
Yes.
That's joyous.
Just had a baby.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Hi, Nicholas.
What, dude?
Is this the possibility of you not having eyebrows? Yeah. It was like our main room that we hung out in. It's where we had our first year scene study class with Richard. It's where we did our discovery project, which is the first production you do. Kind of looked like this. It was like a bunch of, you just use the furniture that you have, the big staircases like that, the piano up against there, and then chairs set up as an audience around here, but you do it with no lights, no costumes, just in blacks. Yeah, a lot of hours spent in this room. Well, one thing I would always do is I'd end up playing the piano because it's a music school. They have pianos in every room. So after hours, I would just learn specific songs. I learned that song because my classmate JJ sang it in singing class. Guess I'll hang my tears out to dry.
Was there much dance?
We did a little bit. We did use the mirrors quite a lot for movement classes and for masks. We did masks class in this room.
Is it the first of 3 or the second of 3?
Cool.
Yeah.
When did you find out you had this role?
June 27th, 2023 at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Is that really the time?
I think so.
Amazing.
I was like, how long do I have to keep this secret? And he said, oh, we have to tell people immediately. It's going to leak, so we're telling people in like an hour.
Is it emotional coming back here?
I wouldn't describe what I feel at the moment as like emotional. Like I don't feel like I'm gonna cry or like I'm overwhelmed with, but thinking about a lot of things and I'm remembering a lot of things. And they're very special memories. This is the ghost light, by the way. This is the thing they put in there to keep the ghosts away.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the lore. I think it's mostly to stop people from tripping.
You said your teacher said you lacked.
No, I struggled with being vulnerable,
Struggled with vulnerability.
which I don't think was true. It was a good point, and it was understandable.
Superman's extraordinarily vulnerable.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think all characters have to have a certain vulnerability. Even Lex Luthor is one of the great things about Nick's performance as Lex is there's a great vulnerability underneath. That's what makes, that's what gives it stakes, is the possibility that things could go wrong for this person. I think that's what vulnerability is.
I read in a Time magazine piece that you were seen as difficult because you were always asking questions.
Yeah, and that's not in the past tense. If you talk to James, I mean, that's the one area where I'm difficult. And very quickly that can start to sound like an argument, unless it can sound argumentative to people. He gave me a note that was very much not what I thought was appropriate for the scene. And so I started going back and forth with him a little bit. And to anyone watching, it looked like an argument. And it looked like I didn't want to do things the way he wanted them done. And then there was one sentence that he said, in the heat of it all, face to face, like, I don't know. And he said one sentence, and I went, stop, great, I know exactly what you mean. And I walked back off and did the thing, and it was what he wanted. I just wanted that moment where I knew what you were talking about. And if I didn't, there was so much, especially in the first couple of years here, of like, act before you know. You don't need to know, just do it. And I did quite a lot of that. But at some point I started going, I think it's kind of imprecise. If that's all you're doing, then anybody tells you to jump off a cliff, you jump off a cliff. What you want to be able to do is say, why this cliff? Why now? And where are we hoping I'm going to land? So I just like to get clear about that kind of thing. It's smaller than I remember. Felt like there were more people in here. I mean, there were more people. Of course, there were more people, but felt like a pretty epic stage, and it's actually quite intimate. It's also cool because this is the same theater that Patti LuPone and Kevin Kline and Christopher Reeve and Robin Williams performed on.
Christopher Reeve trained in this same class.
Same rooms that I was in, and same theater here that I performed in. Yeah, well, he had a real playfulness about him as an actor generally. If you look at any of his work,
but there was an inherent kindness and decency that you felt within him.
Yeah.
Which you can't say this, but I can. But that does radiate from you, so
Oh,
it was lovely
good.
to see you.
It's fun. It's funny watching interviews of him too. He does have a nice edge about him. So we got Anthony Mackie, new Captain America, right there. Bradley Whitford was always somebody we referenced from The West Wing and Get Out and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Jessica Chastain's on there.
So this was like the wall of inspiration.
There's Adam.
Oh yeah.
And his wife Joanne. Patti LuPone up there. Jesse J. Perez. This is Jimmy J.J. Jeter, who was in my class. There I am on the wall, by the way. Just remembered the day that I walked by 306. We can walk in that direction. And the doors were closed, and you got the windows in the doors so you can see through them, but they had set up black flats on the other side so you couldn't see in. And on the inside you just heard like sticks slamming together. And my buddy walked by, I was like, Adam Driver's in there, he's training for Star Wars. Wow. I was like, I should break in and watch, but I didn't.
And hey, David's ready.
You did 47 minutes.
I'm going to take a little bit of weight out of that so it will calm.
Parker?
301 was also our black box theater, so you did your third year productions in here. This is basically exactly the same. This is how it was over the summers. They would put all the rehearsal furniture in here. There's no one in there.
We talked about the moment, like literally the time and exact day where you were told that you got Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, quite a change of life, I'd imagine. And you very defiantly said,
Nope.
no.
Nope. No, it's just a change to one's psychology. But nothing really, I mean, all that changed was that I didn't have to keep looking for a different job.
Do you still feel that?
No, but it's not because I was wrong at that moment. It's because you talked to me before we filmed the movie. And before you film the movie, all you know is that you get to film the movie. If you asked me on July 12th, I'd probably be having some feelings, depending on, you know, whether we're doing very well, what the critics have said. Although I also consider I have this great big, whatever the collector's edition Millennium Falcon Lego that my wife got me as a wrap gift when I finished Superman, and it's still sitting in my closet at home. And I saw it the other day, and I thought, maybe that's what I'll do on opening weekend. I'll just turn my phone off and do this enormous Lego for 2 days. Somebody told me that I won't be able to like ride the subway in New York. I'm skeptical of that. I know of at least a few stories of a few very well-known actors who consistently ride the subway in New York. Okay, we're going to 312.
When you auditioned for Superman,
Yeah.
was your first audition with James?
No, first audition was a self-tape that I made in my house with my wife.
Did you have any confidence on that first day that this could be for you?
No, mostly because I saw this sort of old Hollywood humor in it, like a Fred Astaire or a Donald O'Connor or a Jimmy Stewart humor. So I was excited to do that, and I thought I'd do a good job with that. But I wasn't sure that James had intended it to be that way. So for all I knew, that was not going to be what he was looking for, and I had just seen something that wasn't really there. So there was no confidence that I was going to be the guy for the job. I said to my wife, yeah, but I mean, it's not going to happen. Like, it would be cool, and we talked about the reasons that it would make sense, that I might be the right person for the job. But still, I was like, yeah, but it's not going to be me. I was put in roles that were very buttoned up and logical. A lot of patriarchs and a lot of buttoned up first half of the 20th century young men or grown men. You know, we played all ages, so like fathers and Protestants. It was sort of like the first time I got to do something really crazy was in the beginning of my third year. I played a heroin addict in New York in the 90s.
What was it like stepping onto set that first day in the suit?
I had to fake some confidence doing that. Walking onto this big sound stage with, 4 or 5 dozen people standing around lighting and filming and standing behind monitors. And I didn't know James that well by that point. But you go through the fear of people looking at the suit and going, I don't know, or looking at your hair and going, And I just thought for this I should probably muster up some confidence, even if it was faux courage, and just try to be as Superman-y as I could. My dad, who was an actor for many years in New York after college, theater and some background work on some things, he saw an audition notice for 9-year-old boys and thought, hey, I've got one of those. I liked the academics of school, but I always had this thing of like, why is this important? Doing theater was much more immediate. You rehearse so that you know what you're doing when the audience shows up, and the audience shows up because they're paying money to see this show. I worked at a bunch of regional theaters in Philadelphia till I was about 16. I did theater in school, and I did a summer theater program, Upper Darby Summer Stage, which was a great musical theater. I took acting quite seriously for my age, but I couldn't really compete in the musical theater space. I was not as good a singer and not as good a dancer as most of my peers.
So that led to Juilliard. How big a deal was Juilliard for you?
I think getting into Juilliard was a bigger, clearer path change than when I got the role of Superman, because I was studying psychology at the University of Pennsylvania, doing theater extracurricularly, had no idea what a path forward as an actor would be, even though I was still excited by it. And when I got the call that I had gotten into Juilliard, that was the moment when I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be an actor, at least for a while, at least, until I get really good data that I don't belong here. I'm going to be an actor.
South speeds. Marker.
And act.